Now we're in. All right. Hey, everybody, once again, how are you doing? It's been a minute or two since we've been able to get together in this format. All right. Hey, everybody, once again, how are you doing? It's been a minute or two since we've been able to get together. May have to have you guys mute while we're. Hey, everybody, once again, how are you doing? It's been a minute or two since we've been able to get together. All right. I think I've got all mine muted on my side. So let's kind of go around the horn and just get a quick update from you guys. Milton, you're traveling the world, it sounds like.
Have to, Dean. You know, with our exchange launching in the next 5 weeks or so. We have a lot of things, we have to complete during this time period, specifically with the bankings and everything. Because I'm in Dubai currently, finishing up all the banking regulations required, because licensing is easy in Dubai, but getting the bank accounts is quite a struggle over here. And people who have previously run business in Dubai will exactly know what I'm talking about. Because, see, we are an exchange, and we are subjected to a very high volume of transaction within the banks as well, within the exchange as well as with the banks. So we're finishing up on all the banking. Dr. Praveen is in Dubai as well, helping me through this process to get all the bank regulations completed here.
A lot of scrutiny, a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
All right. I am having to follow two computers here.
Sure.
For some reason, my StreamYard settings have changed, and it's saying that my video on YouTube is actually in a private mode. I think people are there. I am seeing people's comments on the screen I'm following with YouTube, but let me see if I can jump into the settings of this video really quick.
Sure.
And change that privacy.
It's been a while since we've done this, so.
It has been, and it's it shouldn't be an issue. I mean, I can see that people are commenting on the YouTube side. They're just not pulling through to my StreamYard side. So I'll just have to run with it on the YouTube side for now, and we'll take it from there. So questions are pouring in, you guys. I've got a lot of questions gathered from the community, from previous videos that I've posted, from my Twitter posts, and we'll jump into those here pretty soon. But before we jump in, RD, anything you want to shout outs or anything you want to send out to the community? Dr. Praveen, Dr. Ramana, would you got anything you want to say before this turns into mayhem?
Dean, can the community see us?
I believe they can see you because I have it running on a separate computer.
Okay. All right.
So what's just happening is because it's listed as private on YouTube, the comments aren't pulling through to StreamYard. So I'm having to watch the comments on the YouTube feed itself. So can I get a bunch of thumbs up in the chat if you guys are able to see us and everybody sounds well, you can hear us?
I can see it. I can't hear it. Obviously, I turn it off for a sound, but.
We can hear and see everyone. Okay. So we are good to go. You've got about 157 people, 160 people in the stream. And I'll make sure as soon as this is done that the settings over there are changed to public so that everybody can see them without using the link.
Sure.
All right. So you guys ready to start jumping into some of these questions? We have quite a few, and they're, I think people are looking for some clarity and some answers, and it's a great opportunity to do that today.
Absolutely, Dean. We have completed the entire interface for the exchange, and we are actually working on the stress testing currently and adding a couple of cosmetic corrections to the exchange by itself. Because, see, we have a green, which we are which we have been known to and labeled by, right? So that is our color. So we are just making a couple of cosmetic changes to the website so it becomes really, really beautiful at the day of launch, so that people can access through the entire pages. And our exchange would contain anywhere close to around 70 to 80 pages in total. So we're just filling up on all that void because interface is already built. We have other things like contact, raising a ticket, or blogs, information regarding the project and how to buy crypto. Just the educational part, we're just filling it up in during this process. And hopefully by next week, I would be able to give a sneak peek of the exchange in full. See, the reason that we are not having any kind of this thing hyperlinks sent out to the general public right now is for the security of the exchange by itself. See, we built it up from the scratch, and there are a couple of more tests we have to run in order to get that 100% secured notion within the exchange by itself. So once the tests are complete, we will be more than happy to reveal it to the public just as a small glimpse before the launch. So,
Okay, so that,
everybody understands.
That was one of the questions that came up several times. I'll credit the question to Terrarium Rebirth from the community. And that question was, that we were told 3 months ago, 2 months ago, that the plan was to launch the exchange the first part of November, plus or minus 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And, now we're talking about the 26th of December.
Mm-hmm.
So beyond what you just described, are there any other concerns that you have about the exchange that's holding its launch back?
Concerns wise, there is none. Couple of things to be done, yes. Not on a technical aspect, but on the physical aspect, such as a bank. See, when we are opening up the exchange, we will make it withdrawals positive for India and for Dubai, right? We have the Indian banking all completed, all regulations completed. Banking plays a vital role when it's a centralized exchange. See, we're not playing with the DeFi space where you don't have to withdraw your money or you don't have to do anything in that nature. Whereas you save the tokens, you can move it to any wallets. Whereas a centralized exchange is a whole other ballgame in total. We have to go in compliance with the regulation, with the banking, with everything, because specifically with the Dubai entity over here, people, like I mentioned before, who have been to Dubai and might have run a business will understand that it's just not any account that we can open with the bank, because we have to make the bank understand that this is a high volume entity, right? Because taking a just a second, please. So sorry about that.
I was hoping you would take the call, actually.
Yeah, that was my wife, by the way. So, see, this is a high volume entity at the end of the day, right? So basically, if it was any normal bank account, we can have it opened within a day or two and takes its process within a week's time. I'm stuck here in Dubai for the past 12 days getting these things completed, because without this thing, we cannot have that centralized exchange functionality within the interface, because people have to deposit their funds in order to buy crypto. See, we are the first gateway that enables a user to get into crypto. See, US has credit cards, but the regulations are different. Whereas when you take a centralized exchange, a user has to use his credit card, debit card, or net banking to go and deposit the funds into the account. And that account requires a bank account. So we are working on that aspect right now, and we will get it completed within a week or two.
Because of the centralized exchange nomenclature, the Dubai authorities require some background checks. And as we all know, background checks take a little time, and intelligence kind of background checking on all the variables of our centralized exchange. So those are some of the norms for setting up a new business in Dubai. So they're checking their check boxes, and it should happen in the next few weeks where we get clearance. So,
okay.
And another important thing is to be very frank and transparent about the entire thing is, the banks and the institutions starts looking for credibility of the business as well, right? And they will look out for the people who are running the business. So we have provided all the required proofs. We're just waiting on the final say from the banks in order to get that approval from them in order to start the entire testing on the withdrawal process and the deposit process. Whereas it's all taken care of in the Indian division, but we just cannot leave it to the say that, you know, it works for India, it should work for Dubai. We need to test it out, right, in every nature, so that there is no kind of a loophole which is pending at the end of the day.
Okay. I'm going to take a quick question out of the comments.
Sure.
I think it's a simple one, and then we'll get back into the community questions.
Sure.
Sly asks, will people be able to directly pull funds from their Terra Exchange account to their bank account?
Yes, if you are based out of India and Dubai currently, and our US customers will be able to accomplish that once our Terra US website and the interface launches within a month and a half after the stability of our current exchange.
Okay. So the US exchange, it sounds like, will launch later than the
Yes.
Dubai India exchange.
Yes, Dean. Because see, right now, we were initially when we started, we were just one exchange that provided services for all the three regions, and the iOS and the Android app had to cater for all these services. But when the regulations started to tighten out, we had to make the Terra US as a separate exchange and have its own mobile app and iOS app created at the same time. So we would be having applications for mobile use in iOS and Android for our Terra exchange, as well as for our US exchange. So it's
very
basically
similar to
independent
very
exchange
similar to how Binance International versus
functions.
Binance.us. Yeah.
Okay.
See, Terra Exchange will work as a DeFi wallet for other territories. You can always hold, stake your tokens within the exchange, but whereas you can only enable that withdrawal feature if you're from Dubai or from India.
Okay. Okay. While we're on the, I'm going to try to keep this siloed into the exchange, TerraPay, Terapool,
Sure.
and kind of go through them one at a time so that
Sure thing.
we can kind of keep a rhythm. So this question comes from Queen of Wealth.
Okay.
Queen of Wealth, you know, has done some spaces, been very active on Twitter, and the comments I have say that a group of Terrarium investors consisting of 25 people, they canvassed the community and they narrowed it down to 4 questions. So these questions are a little more complex.
Sure thing.
But this first one has to do with what's going on right now with FTX and the centralized exchanges. They say, in light of recent events in crypto with large centralized exchanges experiencing liquidity crisis and accusations of misappropriation of investor funds, will Terareum provide information about its liquidity provider, proof of reserves, and plans for safekeepings of deposits?
Absolutely. Once we have launched, we will have all this information available in our website regarding the proof of reserve and the total amount of tokens that we carry on board. See, the issue with FTX happened when they notified the SBF when they had about 10 billion in funds, and whereas in reality they didn't have even one. So that's what penetrated the entire situation into a much higher spectrum when they started investigating on this channel alone. So proof of funds right now, proof of asset, we will, which determines the total volume cap of our exchange, will be notified once the exchange launches, because initially we would need a certain amount of liquidity and there will be more liquidity pouring in. So it is a regular update that has to be made eventually, right? Because otherwise there would not be a notification in any of the CMC or in Gecko about our total volume that we do. So we are actually working on it. So that
when we're talking about potential for billions of dollars, $1 billion in liquidity,
absolutely.
I mean, that certainly can't come from listing fees. So
True.
So there's plans in place to secure liquidity and to have this, and that will all be public information when it's ready to go.
Yes, it would be on a, planning it on a quarterly basis currently, because, we cannot simply update these charts on a regular basis. It becomes virtually impossible. See, that's the complexity of a centralized exchange that we are dealing with, because there's so much of regulation, so much of key details that we have to pay attention with when comparatively to a DeFi exchange, where all the information flows into one notion and it is available readily. And most of the DeFi exchanges don't disclose this as well. Whereas a centralized exchange being regulated or under regulation has to disclose all this information out for the safety of the exchange as well as the user who's using it.
Investors, yeah. And I imagine that these restrictions, as well as rules and regulations, only are going to get more complex after this.
Which is going to make the platform much transparent and safer at the end of the day. And that's the key thing that many people don't realize. As the scrutiny starts increasing, it's going to make the platform more safer and transparent. That's what we have always wanted right from the get-go. So
yeah, I think it's really inevitable with some of these major failures, especially here in the United States. You hear the Congress talking regularly now about a need for crypto. I think Senator Warren here this last week sent something forward, or is trying to put something forward to tighten up on regulations for cryptocurrency, because it's not really a hobby anymore. We're talking about billions of dollars out there in crypto. So
well, Senator Pat Toomey from Pennsylvania has been working on this for the past 2 years, but only recently was Pat Toomey, Patrick McHenry, Congressman, as well as Senator Loomis out of Wyoming, and Gillibrand Senator Gillibrand out of New York, have released that bill back in June. Back in the first week of June, addressing these kind of issues, and I can see the walls are caving in towards regulations for these things. So from an investor standpoint and a customer, confidence standpoint, I think regulation is good for centralized divisions, especially in this case of what happened over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to address one person out of the comments, basically talking about the fact that RD is working as a moderator in the comments. That is a totally common practice. And in the past, I've had upwards of 7 to 8 people doing it, because we want it to be respectful. We want to keep this as an open forum, have people be able to ask their questions, and be able to do it in a way that keeps a measure of professionalism and candor. So RD, I appreciate what you're doing. Don't worry about the haters over there. So
oh yeah, I'm not censoring what they say unless they obviously attack someone's integrity or some personal attack. But I'm just stopping the spamming.
Argue your facts, ask your honest questions. Personal attacks aren't really tolerated in the comments. So.
See, that is one of the things that I wanted to address over this time period was people who make a comment at the end of the day either must be educated about the complexity of the platform, or they should know how a centralized exchange should work. Most of the people who are spreading this word have zero knowledge about the functionality of a centralized exchange, or let it be even crypto for that matter of fact, because they just want to spread a certain kind of hatred looking at the growth that the Terareum is going to achieve at the end of the day. Because being true to my conversation is, in reality, what's going to happen once the exchange launches is people are going to withdraw their assets from a couple of other investments they have done, because the Terareum prices are going to soar and they're going to move. So competition in business is quite common, but we have never personally done any kind of attacks or even spoken about any entities through our entire process. Even though we were involved with a couple of others, we have maintained our professionalism throughout this process. But what I see throughout the entire thing is people with zero knowledge, and that's the most important thing our holders should understand. When was the last time the person talking about the centralized exchange not working has he worked in a centralized exchange before, or has he done anything related to that? You simply can't go and say that it's not going to work at the end of the day. But FUD will be always around. I'm fine with it. But spreading wrong information and making videos and videos and videos after it is not. See, I'm a human at the end of the day, and I have my patience, and I can only hold up professionalism to a certain limit, because there's so much of work being done at the same time. And when these kinds of information impacts my holders, it's my responsibility to clear the air in it. I cannot be without being saying that, hey, I'm a professional. I cannot answer to those queries, because it's impacting my holders and it's impacting our business's entire growth. So I have to go and say a certain things at certain point. But what I would say to all these fudders is, at the end of the day, if you have knowledge about something, you have to speak about it. But if you don't know the A and B's of it, it's about with the people to realize that these guys are pretty much fools who don't have any information on it, and they're just running them out to make their thing at the end of the day.
My point to that in the last video that I made is, it's hard to be faulted for arguing facts, right? If you have facts and you put those forward and you argue your points and you put the information out there and you talk about specific points of interest, that's appropriate. When you go after somebody directly and it's name calling and bullying, and that it's just counterproductive in the community. And I've seen the development team going on the defense, and I can understand why. And ultimately, for me, the best way for you all to come out on top is through performance, right? When the exchange is delivered and people see the product, now the rest of that is just a moot point. But I think the same thing in crypto, and I don't just mean in this project. I've seen this play out over and over and over again, where people get highly emotional about their investments, and instead of talking about where the failures are or where improvements can be made, it always becomes a direct attack on character. And then what happens is the community kind of scatters. Nobody really wants to be a part of that for a long period of time. We've seen other projects torn apart. So I just like to see it be a high level, a professional conversation. Bring forward your questions. If you're unsatisfied with the answers, Praveen actually said it. Not every project is for everybody. People have the choice of participating in what they participate in. But I think that's good to address and clear
that
the
is
air.
absolutely true, Dean, because I need to address a couple of things specifically, because I keep a lot of secrets about all these influencers that have done wrong to us in the past. Specifically right now, 2-3 days back, Ryan Crypto came on board, and he was like, the devs are cheating the entire platform. And what is the necessity for us to cheat so much? At the end of the day, we are sitting here in a different country overall, trying to get the regulation aspect of it completed so that the exchange can launch. And moreover, when he was onboarded into the entire platform initially, right? He was in as the VP, I think, or whatever the title that he was entitled to, right? He notified me that he will work for free for a certain time, but then he notified me that he had to get himself paid for a certain notion, and it was not cheap. It was $35,000 per month, and more than that. At the end of the day, it was his accessibility was only once a week, and he would do only one space on a Thursday at 8 p.m. on a new project. I told him that this won't work out for us, because all the people who are involved in the project go day in and day out on the project. We eat, sleep, and breathe Terareum. Morning you wake up, it's about what we have to get the things done and what is the progression which is happening within the exchange. And this is the lifestyle that we have been maintaining from the day one. So when he said that, he needs about 2 million for the marketing to involve more influencers on board, we simply said I could not afford him at the end of the day. And when he notified, then, we have to move on to this contract will not work out. I took the hit personally. because everybody said, why did Ryan join and leave Terrarium? Is it spooky? Is it wrong? It was not spooky or it was not wrong. I took the hit for him. I said, it's fine. I'll take the hit for you because I'm going to give you a proper professional leave. I said, we cannot afford him simply, and I left the conversation there. But he comes up and he says that, we are there cheating people. See, every one of the people in the screen has not taken a paycheck till date. And we are all working so that we can fund the other sources who are working day and night for us. So when somebody comes and says the wrong thing, see, we are not here boasting those things because we are, that's not the way, or that's not the thing that we do the entire things in. So when people come and say the negative things, there's only a certain point I can maintain professionalism because I'm a human at the end of the day. And, name calling, bullying, everything is fine. But they must know that I'm going to retaliate or I'm going to say, I'm going to talk back after a certain time period. Let it be wherever I am or, whoever I am in the future, because I'm just addressing what they said.
Okay.
Well, coming back, from March onwards, I have published about 10 articles in terms of education from the get-go. So this didn't happen over the past couple of weeks. And we gave enough time for our investors to understand actually what we are and what our end goal is towards TerraChain being the moat. And I've described it very transparently. And even this, the question of the diversion between Terra Exchange being operated in Dubai and India versus Terra Exchange United States were going to be separate entities was very clearly described in the past. So these are not new things. So I just want to reiterate that.
Yeah, those are new information to the influencers, Praveen, because they don't read, they don't follow up. When some new project is going to launch, they just come and FUD the project. That's all they care about at the end of the day, because it's 1 year of hard work for us, a year and a half year of hard work for us that we are putting in. And a guy just pops out from nowhere behind a green screen and says it's not going to work. And there's a huge FUD created around it. It's funny for me at the end of the day, because who are you going to consider? The guy who's working for the project, or a guy who does a video every month about the project, and spreads negativity? All your videos have been very productive for Terareum, Dean, specifically, because you say the things which are related to the project. But whereas other people and these influencers, they take the holders for granted. They share the wrong information. They make them uncomfortable within the space. And that's what they've been doing all this time. And moreover, at the end of the day, nobody worked for free for us, right? Even including of Austin, whoever has joined us before and left, they've been paid for at the end of the day. So we never used anybody. It was just a business transaction. They do the work and we do the remaining rest for the project. So that's what I want to say about, because if somebody says, that this thing is not going to work, I think a holder must ask them for their proper acknowledgement and the proper information about what do you know about this project? Why is it not going to work? Not that, it won't work. Wait and see till the 26th. It's like a 6-year-old talking on the screen pretty much most of the time.
Okay. So I want to transition back into questions.
Sure.
And I see Bleaves is over in the comments and several other people, they're wanting me to get to theirs. A lot of the questions that are coming through are already in the questions I've received from the community. So I'm going to go through the questions that I have. If those don't satisfy the questions in the comments, at the end, we will take time to take more questions from the comments. But I think that the heat on this, when influencers really seem to go from, unsatisfied to these angry outbursts, seem to really increase around the time of the launch or the discussion about the launch of
they're just gathering their users on board, Dean. They're just gathering their users on board. They got into Terrarium with good impression, gain the Terrarium holders. They move on to a different project. They FUD about this project when they gain more holders in that project. and they would do it till the point they reach a certain amount of notion or a certain amount of followers and subscribers. Till then, they would keep doing this. People have to understand that that's a business for them, and they are playing their strategy wise. Because on a technical aspect wise, they cannot answer even a single question. And I think every holder must hold the influencer accountable for the technical knowledge that they carry before they talk about a project. Because a project does not get built with Legos or small things at the end of the day. These are highly classified codes which we can't even give it for audit at the end of the day. So when these guys come up and say it's not going to work,
Yeah. Well, it has created some additional questions, and the announcement of the launch of the TeraPay token has created many questions. So I'd like to get into some of those if we can pivot towards TeraPay. So
before that, Dean, I just again explain from day one, since Terareum started and was launched, Milton, Dr. Ramna, Dr. Wellman, we all knew that we were starting a technology company. So this is a technology company, and we're building as we go along, and certain things come up along the way. Like we realized that we could do or present more utility in certain aspects for certain things, and that so it's the same thing as a big company like Apple. I mean, Apple didn't the iPod just came out of an idea when one of his friends Steve Jobs' friends was visiting Japan. And then they bought that technology, brought it here, and then they miniaturized it. And the same idea became, the iPhone, the iPad, and etc. in different sizes and thickness and shapes and everything. But coming back to the story, important point is we are a technology company. There are things we will discover along the way, and we may pursue it, and if something comes to fruition, that's great. So that's a lead into your TeraPay.
Yeah. And so that's I think where this next question, the answer will have to be given, that maybe there's a discovery along the way. I'm going to credit this one to Guy Richards, but this one's come up in the comments multiple times, and it has to do with the TeraPay token. So essentially, there was a tweet from Milton in the past that talked about the fact that the plan would be the Terareum token would be the only token in the ecosystem. And so then there's an announcement of a launch of the TeraPay token. So the question is, why can't the Terareum token be paired with the TeraPay platform rather than launching a new token? What was the need for a new token?
Absolutely, Dean. Let me just see, this is a very long question that I have to answer, because if I just mention this, it will not connect the dots.
That is a good question, Guy. Thank you.
Yes. Heading back to the Terareum ecosystem, right? If you look at our roadmap, we are completing all the complex features within the roadmap. And the only things which are left for us to complete within the Terareum ecosystem is the NFT exchange, because the exchanges are going to launch on the 26th. We have already given the date. We have our NFT exchange as well as the blockchain, which completes the entire ecosystem for Terareum. See, like Dr. Praveen said, why can't Terra be used into the platform of a payment gateway function is simply because a payment gateway function, when the coding is being done, when the transactions is done, it has way too many decimals inside for a product price. See, that would be cured once the blockchain gets on board, and when the burn starts happening, our pricing would reduce to a very nominal rate. Right now we have 9 zeros. So if you need to buy a product for $10 on board, you need to spend closing 1 trillion or like whatever it is, 250 billion tokens. And that would confuse the entire transaction block. Moreover, the TerraPay tokens does not have any capabilities. It does not have a mintable or a burnable function. It is just a proper token like Bitcoin. And we will be renouncing the token after the pre-sale, because with the lesser decimal symbol applied onto the token price.
You meant to say TerraPay there. TerraPay. You said TerraPay.
Yeah. Sorry. So with the lesser decimal symbol, it will help the interface calculate the entire payment gateway function for the business user at the end of the day in a very easy state. Moreover, at the end of the day, right now we're going to have the Terareum blockchain being built, right? How the TerraPay functions is we would provide a plug and play gateway system for an online store. So they go on board, get the product, pay the product price in TerraPay, right? Once our blockchain is integrated, now how Ethereum has ERC, you use any ERC20 token, at the end of the day, you have to pay ETH as gas fees. You cannot use any other token because it is an Ethereum blockchain, correct? We would apply that same principles onto the Terareum blockchain when the TerraPay interface is being used. So because we have timed the launch of the TerraPay interface as well as the blockchain within very close quarters. So we will be able to attach that technology so that the TerraPay token gets paid for the product, whereas the gas fees is being used as Terareum or Terra.
So you have a layer 1 Terareum.
Yes.
What is the technical
answer? Because we developed the blockchain, where are the applications that we're going to apply these for? You get my viewpoint, right, on the total entity, because we can create the blockchain. Who's going to use this blockchain? We need to maximize the volume on the blockchain. And what more bigger resources and businesses throughout the world using crypto?
Okay.
You get the viewpoint of the entire ecosystem, right? So that's how we make Terareum Terra a very high utility token, because imagine the volume that the TerraPay would generate, and each transaction they have to pay it via Terra. The gas fee has to be paid via Terra, and that is a never-ending concept, and it will happen. It will keep on happening till the time each sale goes on. So that is the entire notion of creating TerraPay. Because
simplify this for the audience, consider something like the Matic, Polygon Matic versus Solana. This is a similar, analogy.
Okay.
Of having Terareum as a layer 1.
So back to the Queen of Wealth group, the ones that basically consolidated questions from the community into 4. Their second question was, how will the TerraPay token benefit Terareum token holders prior to the blockchain launch?
Prior to the blockchain launch, there is no application for it right now, because we would complete the entire blockchain interface within the next 6 months' time after we have stabilized the exchange platform, because that requires more manpower to be added, and that requires a much bigger team than what we are handling right now. But once the entire interface has been built and the blockchain has been built in total, it's going to have a huge benefit for the Terra token on board, because more businesses use the TerraPay transactions, more gas fees, and the transaction fees gets used by from the Terra token, because we can still enable the burn function, we can still enable the rewards function, we can still enable the the marketing, which we have done it as 0, and we are not going to change it. So we can still change these 2 functions, which is the burn and the and the reward section within the token. And we are not going to renounce the Terra token till we establish a good hyper burn within the token. And that would happen once the extra blockchain goes live and more transactions starts happening. That's burn happening every microsecond. And you need an interface to do this, because how many transactions can a holder do, or how many buy or sell as a holder can do, right? There's only so many buys or a certain volume that the, like a trader platform can achieve. Right now, see, we are sitting at almost total transaction of 54,000 with, total 24 volume is about $82,000 for, that is nothing. Imagine when businesses throughout the world starts using crypto platform to gain the payment, and the payment gas fees starts running through Terra. Imagine the volume, it will be in millions. And that's how we achieve the hyperburn. And that's how we reduce the entire supply. So we will have the funds to buy and burn the token at the end of the day. See, this is not a 1 month project. This is a very huge project at the end of the day, because, certain people want a project that to go live within 3 months and do this. But this is a very big project that is going to stay there for a lifetime. And within the next 6 to 8 months time, the pricing is going to change absolutely into a big giant or a whale, whatever we want to call it.
And I think it's important for the audience to understand this important point of why it takes so much time. Because at the end of the day, like Milton was saying, this is a technology company, and we start at scratch from the white drawing board. And like Vitalik Buterin for Ethereum started everything in 2013, and then his coin really kind of established itself in the 2017, 2018, but the work was going on since 4 to 5 years. Same thing with Bitcoin. I mean, that was 2008, 2009. And then, it takes time to establish these networks of technology, coding, to make sure everything falls into place in a safe manner and works. So that I think is an important point for the audience to understand why it takes, even 6 to 8 months is extremely short time in a technology
of this magnitude.
Yeah. So, but we're gonna try our best to,
And
so are there any concerns in the short term? This is back out of that Queen of Wealth, so I'm going to consolidate two together. How can you ensure holders of the Terareum token that there'll be value there in the interim? And are there any measures in place to make sure that TerraPay isn't cannibalizing the liquidity or the market cap of the Terareum token? Do you see any potential conflicts there?
No, Dean. Now, let me just explain this thing very, very slowly and carefully to all my holders over there. See, once the exchange goes live, correct, what's going to happen is we're going to start getting listings on board, correct? The huge deal with the entire issue right now is the burn, because we just have 2% in entire taxation, right? One for the reward, one for the burn, correct? So once the exchange goes live, we're going to, any new token applies on board, any good token that applies on board, we will want them to pair it with Terra after the entire stabilization of the project. So they have to buy in Terra and hold Terra, like how they pair it with USDT and Ethereum. They have to start doing it. So there will be pairs available inside the exchange with Terra on board as well. So a huge amount of Terra has to be bought by these new tokens to get listed within the platform. Secondary aspect of it, once Terapool gets its good momentum going, at this bear market, there are no new projects coming out into the platform, and we don't want to list bad projects at the end of the day, because to tell you the truth about what has happened is there are projects asking us, what if we run off with the money? Because we give the entire control to the project, they take the entire funds. And when these kinds of questions get asked to us, that raises a red flag within us, right? So we cannot launch these projects because they've already notified their intention. Imagine, because we are maintaining good exclusivity within the projects as well. So any good project, legit project gets on board, we will launch them at the end of the day. We are not desperate to launch other projects, and there are not many projects launching in the crypto space now, because
it's nothing like what was going on this time.
Absolutely,
last year,
that's the fact that
there was a new
people
launch
don't
every
realize.
other day.
Yes, because previously when there was a bull run, there was projects like hundreds of projects launching every day, and there were new projects, and there were much more scams then. Right now, we are shortlisting good projects. Any good projects that get on board with us, we will launch them. And we're not going to say no to money at the end of the day, because we need it more than anybody right now to maintain the functionality. So, good projects launch, well and good. And once Terapool gains its momentum, we would take away the stable tokens from the Terapool platform and make Terra as the only token to maintain, to buy into a new project. So imagine when there are 10 projects launching, collecting a liquidity of 6 million or 5 million right now, and once the price stabilization has happened properly. So that is the secondary thing. Third thing, once the blockchain gets on board, there will be transactions happening every second, every microsecond there'll be hundreds of transactions happening. So once that happens, they have to use Terra tokens on board. So TerraPay is not cannibalizing Terareum at any point. Terareum is on a whole bigger realm than TerraPay at it, whereas TerraPay only benefits Terareum by giving Terra more transactions for the blockchain when it launches, because a blockchain is of no use when there is no transactions in it. So we are creating a pathway for more transactions. Imagine today the crypto space has a 820 billion market cap right now, whereas the payment gateway functions in fiat alone are currently at 20 billion and is subjected to rise to 60 in the next 3 years and move to 100 in the next by 2030, right? So when you calculate all that numbers, even if we manage to gather 1% of the total crypto population, that is, a very, very big, large, closing $1 billion at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Another important point to understand is like Ethereum, when it's in the denominator, Ethereum, when you pair it with under the denominator, it has only the function of doing certain transactions per second. The same idea, Polygon, that's how Polygon and Solana came up, on their blockchains, is saying, hey, if they can do, 15, 16,000, I'm just throwing out a number here. I can do 56,000 transactions per second, So that's an attraction that means it happens faster. People can understand the analogy because when they were buying NFTs, like the one of the ape BAYC or something, Bored Ape Yacht something. If you all recall, everything came to a standstill because Ethereum slowed down significantly, where the Ethereum price was going at like $2,000, $4,000 per transaction, or maybe more. It was costlier than the NFT.
Well, that was very frequent actually with Ethereum last fall, that you couldn't do $100 purchase of something because your gas fees would be in that same realm. You'd be spending as much on your gas fees as you would on a small transaction. So
that was a year ago, yes.
So, okay, well, I have a few more questions about TerraPay, and then I want to ask you a couple of questions about the marketing wallet, and then we'll take questions out of the community and the chat, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to pull this up, my screen, and just look at something off of the TerraPay website. Actually, the white paper. Let me make sure that this is displaying appropriately. I'm running with a little bit of lag. So there we go. Okay, so in the TerraPay white paper, we see that there's a total supply of 1 billion tokens.
Yes.
We know that the goal is to raise 5,000 ETH.
Yes.
People have been critical of that number and want to know what is the plan for the spend. And I'd like to know, what is the distribution of the tokens? Of the 1 billion, how many are up for sale in this launch? And what will the balance be allocated towards?
See, on overall of the $1 billion, we're going to segregate 95% for the launch and 5% is going to be kept for the marketing wallet. So 95% is going to go live within the entire 95 is going to go into the market. Okay.
So that somewhat helps, I think, understanding if you are successful and capture 5,000 ETH, you're saying 90% of that, 95% of that is going to be fair traded in the market.
Yeah,
yes.
950 million is going to go on the market.
Okay. Okay. I mean, that to me is somewhat comforting because, you know, a lot of times on a token launch like this, and I even saw a tweet somewhere where I thought it was like 20% of the available tokens would be sold in the sale. And maybe that was just in the pre-sale, but you know, when a project is holding 80% of the tokens and only 20% are in the marketplace, the potential for dilution of the investment to the investors is a lot. So that helps me. That answer does.
But we're still completing on the entire website right now, still, Dean, because we have our team currently allocating on the Terra Exchange websites and the mobile application pages as well, right? So we just had this allocation done. So there was a little bit of errors with certain things, but we have had it corrected, and a new white paper will be launching in the next 3 to 4 days time, which has the same content but a better representation.
Okay. Speaking of marketing wallets, now I'm going to pivot back to stop sharing my screen here.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of marketing wallets, there has been a question about a recent sell from the marketing wallet.
Yes.
And the question is, can those transactions be broken down into smaller sales so as not to have an impact on the price of the token? Is there a reason for selling at a certain price or amount?
Basically, as we start selling, the total amount of tokens that we have to use gets increased. You know that, right? Because the price depreciates once you sell, and then you keep selling, you end up selling more tokens. And Terra token is very valuable to us within the marketing wallet as well, because of all the things which are going to happen in the future. Because for the certain amount of liquidity, for the requirements, for the functionality is required at any point. So that was the reason to sell it off at one go, because we would end up more tokens at the end of the day if we sell it on a slow gradient way.
Okay. And you can understand, of course, why that creates concern in the community. Nobody wants to see their investment devalued by the actual investment itself. And so it'd be nice if there was some type of a strategy, or, I mean, I know it can't be announced, would cause a run on the bank, essentially. People would sell prior to, but that's something that hopefully in future tokens or projects, we can separate the marketing wallet somehow from the pool of tokens.
It's not going to be for a very long time, Dean. We're almost reaching just 5 weeks away from the launch. Once the exchange launches, there's going to be liquidity created within the exchange as well. So we will meet our functioning and our running and our overhead costs within no time. So it's just a matter that we are reaching a very close pivotal point before our launch, that we have to execute a certain amount of things on board. And that is the reason for all these sales, because we have to pay for the coders and the entire team at the end of the day, because we 4-5 of us can work without a pay, but asking the other 55 to work without a salary is never heard of in any entirety in the world, in any business. So I have to pay their bills as well, and there's a lot of things to be paid within the thing, and the time is being dedicated to the project to create the project into a whole new level. So at the end of the day, if you don't fuel the car, you might as well sit in the driveway and change the play with the steering wheel.
Well, I think everybody understands there's costs associated, which is why we all want to see, as investors, the utilities launch, because we know that there'll be revenue to the company once you have the utilities launch. So that's why I think some people are concerned about the delay from November into December. But, how much confidence do you have, Milton, that December 26th date is strong for a launch without delays?
100%, Dean, 100%. My name is on the line. I've never given a date before. I'm notified the first 2 weeks of November 1st, but December 26th, Terra Exchange will be live, and it will be open for the market for deposits and trade.
Okay, we're going to hold you to it.
with a Christmas release. So
yeah, we're going to hold you to it.
one of the major...
All right, there's a question. I'm going to start moving to questions in the comments. So people in the comments, I haven't been able to monitor this for the entire stream. If you want to start reposting, I'll do my best to get those into this. We're about 5 minutes from an hour, and I've got time to go over by some, but I don't want to make it horribly long. So Red in the comments has asked this multiple times, and quite frankly, I'm not really sure. I don't remember this or seeing this. He just says, can we get an answer about Twitter hints about Binance, what it means exactly, and that there's funds ready for investment if things go well there. But have we been hinting at Binance? Is there something that I'm missing there?
I'm bound to secrecy, Dean, on this one, because we have our institutional partners. We have two big guns in the game, but I cannot notify you who they are. You would know it exactly on the date of launch because there's a lot of documentation related to it. So, but we have institutional partners who are providing us with liquidity because...
Okay. There are several people I'm seeing in the comments too, and I hate to beat a dead horse. Quite frankly, I don't even think about this anymore, but people say there were discussions about potential legal actions in the Binance issue that happened back in March. Is there any update to that? Have you guys reached any conclusions that you can share?
Pretty much with the Binance issue, right, Dean, I see it, many people or FUDers bringing that screenshot over and over and over again at the end of the day. So anybody who has a website will understand that, see, I cannot talk much in detail about this because future affiliations will be on par at the end of the day. Praveen has taken the hit.
I have to mention that whatever Binance, that investor place article that is always presented in all the Twitter posts has been revised. If anybody can go back to Investor Place and reread the article, it has been updated and edited and leaving Terareum alone. So they acknowledged that something went wrong, and so that initial article has been addressed and settled. So,
okay. I'm looking, just looking for questions here. People, I've seen it in multiple places. Is there a way to verify licensing? People are questioning what licenses we have to operate in the United States. What licenses do we have to operate in Dubai? Is there any proof source that a person can go out and look to see registry, or I don't know how that actually works. I mean, I run businesses in the United States, and aside from opening an LLC and registering it with the state, and then, creating an EIN number and paying taxes, I don't know if there's a specific license you need to operate crypto business in the United States. Can you speak to that?
I can speak to that. You can basically just go to the state of Wyoming Secretary of State whenever we open a corporation or any type of business like I do in California. I have to go to the Secretary of State and get their permission to start that corporation, whether it's a C corporation, S corporation, LLC, everything registered with them. So Terareum is registered in the state of Wyoming under the Secretary of State.
Okay.
And Terareum has registered two businesses, one for crypto and one for software in Dubai as well. And we have one registered in India for the crypto regulations for the Indian entities as well.
Okay. There is a couple of people that have questions that I actually had that I failed to ask up to this point.
They're more than welcome to visit our Indian office, walk into my cabin and view the certificates there.
Chennai?
Yes.
Would they get in if they visited?
Sorry?
Would they get in if they visited? Are you taking tours?
Absolutely. We're taking tours now, but only for the next 5 weeks.
Okay, so this is the question from Miss Pretty, but I think this is a great question. So the plan is to launch we've launched the website for TerraPay. The plan is to use Terapool to launch the TeraPay token.
Correct.
When will the actual payment platform be launched? Is there a time frame on that?
Yes. So we have rescheduled the pooling, which was scheduled for tomorrow. We have rescheduled to 18th of November right now. So once the pooling has been completed, it's a 7-day pooling. Once the pooling has been completed, 4.5 months from there, the payment gateway platform will be completed.
So we'll take about 4.5 months to complete the gateway.
Yes.
And the 5% of the initial purchase, I guess, if the 5,000 ETH is achieved, those funds that you're keeping in the marketing wallet will be used to support the development of that, or is that already in development?
We will require much more resources than that at the end of the day, but that should help us cover the overhead cost. And with the Terra Exchange running after that, that would help us to pay for certain things through the exchange funds as well.
Okay. This question comes up quite a bit, actually. This is Syriac Terapool, but John on my, there's John that comments on my videos sometimes 5 and 6 times per video, wants to know what can we do to create a bigger marketing push?
Respond to all these FUD, fight the FUD. Every time somebody comes up and says something, the price drops 3 points. You know, nobody's willing to answer rather than question. So if one question arises, one person goes up and says, what is the proof that you're saying this? Or what is the knowledge that you carry to say this? The FUD ends there. And all the price drops that has happened right from the get-go has happened because of FUD, and God knows why. Because other projects were launching, they FUDed Terareum, took our investors and our holders to them, and then they FUDed even more for some reason, and now they are FUDing that the exchange won't run. And when we say that we're going to advertise in Burj Khalifa, they're like, no, the advertisement is not going to happen. Like, you know, things like that. It's not, you know, it's pretty pettyish at the end of the day.
So
to respond
you're
to all
saying,
these things.
I did see that when you, once the exchange is launched, you do plan on spending funds on Times Square and the Burj Khalifa?
On the date of the launch, Dean, with the marketing push that we are planning to give is on the date of the launch. We're going to have our advertisements in Burj Khalifa as well as in Times Square. And only one platform has done it prior to this. And everybody knows it's Binance. So we're going to advertise our entire green, our Terareum green in the Burj Khalifa, and it's going to be spectacular.
All right, I'm just kind of scanning here for maybe
and I'll give you guys the date and time, so everybody's welcome either to the to participate and join the launch on the day. I'll give you the exact date and time shortly.
Okay.
And Post Malone will be singing congratulations.
If that's true.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Okay. This question has come up before. It's by Amin LA, and I see this, as a matter of fact, every time I use CoinGecko when I do my videos, but there is a claim of, you know, both CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko have a claim at the top of the page that talks about essentially the contract being modifiable, and that might scare investors. Have you had any more thoughts on maybe a way to deal with that?
Yeah, they're notifying that the contract is not renounced, Dean, pretty much. That's what they're saying, that it is variable, because see, we need that variability at the end of the day when the blockchain launches, because if we need to set up burn to 5% per transaction fee, we can do it. Otherwise, what would happen is the same story as Binance would happen, because they renounce the contract. Now they have to buy the tokens and then burn it. But we have that functionality to do it within the entire, with our deployer wallet. Because we have not renounced, we can make changes to whatever we need at that point. You know, we can set up burn to 50%. We can set up burn to 95%. at the end of the day when the blockchain launches, and 95% of the tokens that are being in the transaction fee will get burned. So we have a huge potential here, specifically when the blockchain launches, to reduce our supply, and we will be using it to the maximum. If they have 2 warning signs, let it be. They don't. Those are people, they have to understand the core of why we have not renounced. So it's been over a year. Nobody has seen any kind of changes other than reducing the taxes all this time. So.
Okay, one, I think, more simple question, and then I'll ask another one that's been asked by several people. The more simple question is, what will be the minimum buy of TerraPay in the pre-sale?
0.5 ETH to 100 ETH.
0.5?
Minimum buy is 0.5 ETH, max buy is 100 ETH. And it's open to all users, it's not whitelisted. Okay.
The other one that's come up here by multiple people is, was there any consideration about a V2 for Terareum instead of launching a second token? And what would be the pros and cons?
TerraPay is not a second token. TerraPay is not a second token. It is an independent entity with an independent enterprise for itself and a technology that is related to that specific entity. And we have mentioned the devs on there on board. It's me, Praveen, and RD currently. So we will be taking that responsibility for the TerraPay payment gateway, and Dr. Wilmin Ramana, me, and Dr. Praveen at the same time will have more hands on Terareum at the point.
And we're not seeing Dr. Wilmin today. People are asking, is he still on board?
Yes, he is. He is. He's very much active, and he's working to get us the El Salvador region for us currently, because, since our launch is very near, we would like to have more territories attached to the exchange at the end of the day. So that provides us with more users and more user base and higher volume.
Okay. A quick question about blockchain. Can you talk about, excuse me, can you talk about the blockchain, and generally speaking, what you think the time frame is on that to bring that to market?
We would be using proof of stake on our blockchain. Still a lot of utilities to be added into the blockchain by itself. We would give an entire white paper when after the exchange has been launched, because our key priority right now is the exchange, and the blockchain would take us only about 6 months to complete the entire work.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're about an hour and 10 minutes in. I've asked all of the questions that the community brought prior to this. We've taken several out of the comments. Thanks, Bengal, for the beard comments. This is No Shave November for you guys who are in the States. My wife absolutely hates this, and it's coming down. So eventually, I turn 50 next week, and I'll probably shave it off for my birthday picture, so that my grandkids don't think that, Grandpa was a woodsman or something.
Santa Claus.
Hey, so I'd like to close up with statements from you all, and we can go around the horn. RD, we haven't heard much from you today. What would you like to see from the community in terms of engagement in social media?
Yes, Dean. Yeah, guys, just, there's actually a lot of people out there have been very positive and spreading the word and just, continuing to do that. The questions about marketing, we said from 6 to 7 months ago, when the exchange launches, you'll start seeing marketing coming out and moving forward. And it's already been spoken to by Milton so far. So that's it, guys. Just stay positive, ignore the FUD, move on. There's, the 26th is coming, and, the utility will speak for itself at the end of the day. Thanks, guys.
This is a great question, actually, Milton. So before I ask you for your kind of closing thoughts, I'll ask you this question. We'll go to Praveen, Dr. Ramana, and then back to you to finish.
Sure.
If the pre-sale of the TerraPay token doesn't sell out completely, what happens in that case?
We have to move to a VC.
Okay.
because we have options over here to either make it as a community token and reap the benefit, or as a total business spectrum where it gets controlled by the venture capitalist.
So if the offering
And
doesn't
then the
sell
utility
out,
that I spoke about with Terareum would not happen.
yeah, if the pre-sell or if the launch of it doesn't sell out in its entirety, will it not launch or will it still go forward
See,
as a
we can have a certainty, because if you look at the entire TerraPay website, you would see that it's a very, very technical website, and it notifies all the technology that will be created within the TerraPay by itself. Because we are, it is a huge, huge, huge project, but we have the manpower and the resources to get completed. But at the end of the day, the pre-sale does not sell, then we have to move the entirety to a VC, and where they get the control. I'm being honest, 100% transparent. I don't sweet talk on anything, because the truth is the truth at the end of the day.
Okay. Dr. Praveen, any closing thoughts from you?
Well, just thank the audience for their support, all the investors and supporters, and wishing everybody a happy holidays coming up on Thanksgiving, and awaiting the launch of the Terra Exchange in around Christmas.
Very
Health
good.
and happiness and prosperity.
Khalifa.
Dr. Ramana, how are you, man?
Yeah,
Any
I'm
thoughts
fine.
for me today?
Yeah, quite busy, yes. Yes. See you at lunch.
Ramana has been taking care of our Indian office when I'm here in Dubai currently, because he's doing a lot of to and fro travel from, it's basically from city to city. So he's managing both the spectrums right now over there, maintaining the team and everything. So that shows in his face as well. So
Yeah,
It's a lot of
quite
work.
busy.
Sure.
yes.
All right, Milton, any final thoughts from you?
Everything looks great for Terrarium, because we have the entire structure planned and the entire utility planned. Within the next 5 weeks, we're going to have our exchange launching, and a little bit into detail. Sorry to take up most of the time, but because I need to share as much as information that I can in order to push our market to a good spectrum. See, a normal exchange that does not have the capabilities of even a buy or sell function does a volume of anywhere between $3 to $4 billion on a yearly basis. And imagine us when we have the best of the best interface. I know that I've been saying without showing, but it's going to be live within the next 5 weeks, and nobody has complained about Terapool yet. So the interface by itself is a great interface. It's just that more people have to use it. But Exchange is a much, much complex and a very, very user-friendly interface. So we will kill the market in no time, because it's only a point of time. We start gaining those volume inside our exchange, and we are concentrating on the two uh, biggest markets currently, uh, India and Dubai, where the entire money flow of the crypto lies. So we are in good hands, specifically in the regions that we are. And once the exchange launches, we're going to take about 2 to 3 weeks to stabilize the platform. And once the stability has been achieved, we will launch the mobile applications one at a time. iOS, Android, everything is taken care of. All the regulatory and everything done, numbers for the everything has been done. We just have to launch the application in the mobile, and we wait for the stability of the mobile applications. Once the mobile application has been stabilized, we would move to the launch of the Terra US exchange, and we will do the same protocol that we followed up for the Terra exchange. We would follow the same protocol for Terra US exchange, stabilization, mobile applications, and then we will work on the stability and more better features. Because see, we are still evolving into a very good exchange. There will be a little bit of key functions that we have to work to and fro. We will be making the updates as we progress. So by the time this entire launch and things finish, we'll just be 2 to 3 months short of our TerraPay and our blockchain. And then we would connect the entire exchange interface with our blockchain and convert the Terra tokens into our native tokens for our blockchain, and all the transactions inside which are currently happening in ERC20 or BNB or TRX will get converted to our Terra blockchain transactions. So all the transactions inside will happen using our Terra tokens. So that is the game plan that we have devised. And at the same time, TerraPay launches, we will be providing services to hundreds and hundreds of thousands of businesses throughout the world who wants to use a crypto platform to collect payment. The blockchain will connect to it and make more transactions happen through Terra. And the Terra supply will reduce. We will increase the burn ratio to a certain point so that more burn happens, reducing the supply, increasing the price action.
Okay. I'm going to address a couple things out of the comments before we sign off here. And you guys are, of course, welcome to weigh in. So there's a question that keeps coming about at the 5,000 ETH. The 5,000 ETH was answered earlier in essentially that 95% of that will go basically into liquidity for the tokens because they're selling straight into the market. The 5% of that amount will be withheld for the marketing wallet. The rest is liquidity in the marketplace. I didn't see anything on the TerraPay website, and a few people are asking what the tokenomics would
we
be.
will be updating certain informations as well, Dean, because we need to look into the price action and the total price volume that we have to maintain for the TerraPay pre-sale and everything. So there will be a little bit of changes, but not much, because it's subjected to change on a little spectrum, but not on a major spectrum, because we have to play with the price. But imagine, what if 95% of tokens does not get sold out? Then what happens to the price? We won't meet the price mark. So what happens to the collected funds? There's a lot of clause involved in it. So there will be a small correction to it. I will update the entire correction by the end of the day tomorrow so that everybody knows what's the price of the token is and what is the leverage that we have within the entire tokenomics. So I will update the entire thing tomorrow.
Okay, that would answer those questions that are coming through. So, guys, I think we should wrap it up. We're a minute or an hour and 16 minutes.
I want to add one final comment.
Sure.
How Terra Exchange and Terra Exchange US is going to be different than other exchanges, centralized exchanges, is we're going to maintain as best as we can a social atmosphere of friendship and colleagues, along with the other centralized exchanges, the big ones, as we all know, the top 5 or 6 or top 10. And so there's no, because we come under a different, basically group of people, and it's very important that we maintain that collegiality among the, whether it's CZ or Coinbase or some of the other top 10. So we're looking forward to that, and I think it's beneficial for this space.
And we would also be trying to maintain good affiliations with our Terra exchange, because currently the proof of stake with Ethereum is only handled by very few exchanges in the market, and they do it as a goodwill. And we would also be following their footsteps by joining with a couple of exchanges and taking the POS function to the next level.
Well, for me personally, as an investor, I wish you guys the very best of luck in completing these projects and succeeding, because we're all here trying to create a better future for ourselves and for our family. And also as an investor, and I think we've asked some hard questions today, questions people did not think I would ask. I appreciate you guys answering them the best that you can. Please keep us updated on what's going on in the project. It's probably been 6 months since we've done a forum like this. Some people think it's, I shouldn't host them, but I enjoy hosting them, and I'm not afraid to ask the questions. So hopefully we can get back together after the launch of the exchange and get some feedback from you as a team on how that process is going and update investors. But appreciate you all. Everybody in the audience, thanks for participating today. Have a wonderful day. I wish you all peace, prosperity, and good health. We will see you here soon.
And thank you everyone for your continuous support, whoever is supporting us in the social platform against all these kinds of FUDs. That will go away in no time, and we will be in a good place on December 26th. And we're planning for a very good launch. We have much more things planned for the 26th. It's going to be either in Dubai as well as in New York. So we will try to do our best, cost friendly as well. The launch is going to be amazing. And everyone have a good day, and talk to you very soon. We will give out more key details. You can always message RD or any one of us. Me, I don't mostly read through the Twitter much, but you can always message us, and we will try to give you guys the best of the updates as and when it's available. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. See you all.